Hello everyone! Back to the challenges we go with another part of I Can't Sleep for Polyships, this time with TeruShouEnnoTana. Did anyone expect anything else? Some maybe yes, but hey, I was in TeruShouEnnoTana mood and that's just how it goes for me. So let's go with the challenge for them, and it's also important for the storyline, or it's also part of the storyline, let's say. As always, special thanks to my lovely patrons and all of you who subscribe and watch these videos. You're keeping this channel alive and going. Thank you very much, and I hope you will enjoy. Creating a safe space for us through challenges, huh? Innovative idea, to say the least. Chuckling quietly, Inoshita shook his head and returned to minding the pan and pots on the stove, gently nudging Dasha out of the way. Go sit down finally. You're barely standing. Dasha blinked slowly a few times as if he had trouble comprehending the words, which only served as another proof of how tired he must have been. And yet, he still insisted on helping in the kitchen. He came home shortly after Inoshita, all but stumbling into the living room and scaring Inoshita half to death. Despite knowing Dasha agreed with one of his teammates to drive him home after practices, his guard was still up against potential dangers lurking outside their door. Fortunately, it seemed to be just exhaustion from practices piling up and not something more sinister. I'm fine though, really. It wouldn't be fair if you cooked all the time. As far as I know, you are the one who cooks all the time. He gently caressed Dasha's cheek, giving him the softest smile he could muster. Go rest, I can manage. Dasha hesitated, but eventually hung his head and nodded, stifling a yawn. Alright. Sorry. Don't be. It's not your fault they are destroying you at practice. Go take a nap, If something hurts afterwards, I can help you stretch if you want. That finally lured a smile from Dasha, and Inoshita's knees turned weak, as always when Dasha smiled. Thank you. I would like that. Good. Now go before you faint here. He followed Dasha with his gaze until the door to his personal bedroom clapped close. Only then he allowed himself a relieved breath, glad that his convincing worked so well. Gods knew Suguru needed to sleep more than anyone in their household. Which is going to make the challenge super difficult. He shoved the thought into the back of his mind. He could always wait with the challenge until Dasha was more rested and not haunted by nightmares. Focused fully on cooking, he didn't notice how much time had passed until a pair of strong arms wrapped around his waist from behind. Most delicious. What are we having? Inoshita smiled and turned his head a bit to give Terushima better access for a kiss, a pleasant shiver running through his body when Terushima humped into his neck. You'll see in a bit. Actually, you could prepare the table. It's almost done. Huh. I just arrived and you are already chasing me around? How's that fair? Or you don't have to. But in that case, don't expect to get even a grain of rice from this, because this is only for those who contributed to the family dinner. He grinned when Terushima grumbled under his breath before he reluctantly let go and went to take out bowls and plates. He was joking, of course, but it didn't hurt to put his boyfriend to work sometimes. Oh, could you go wake up Suguru when you finish? Gently, please. That Terushima seemed to be much happier about, his face brightening with a smile as he sped up setting the table. Inoshita just shook his head, unable to stop a smile of his own. So predictable. Soon, Terushima was done and skipped to Dasha's bedroom, moving more quietly than Inoshita would ever give him credit for, even as he disappeared into the room. Now all they had to do was wait a few more minutes for Tanaka to join them. The night was peaceful, surprisingly so considering how lively Terushima and Tanaka were after dinner. So much so that Dasha excused himself to his bedroom right after they finished cleaning the plate. And while Inoshita understood his reasons, and in the end it made things easier for him that night with the challenge, he would lie if he said he wasn't worried about him. The last thing he wanted was to watch his boyfriend withdraw into himself because of his inner demons. For now, though, he just hoped he wouldn't hear the already all too familiar screams that accompany Dasha's nightmares. Sighing, he checked the clock, realizing that, thanks to all kinds of worries constantly swirling in his mind, he actually couldn't fall asleep even 2 hours after going to bed. Maybe it's better like this. I won't have to pretend so much. Carefully not to wake Tanaka up too, he turned in Terushima's arms to face him and gently brushed his fingers along the strong jawline. Terushima scrunched his nose a bit, mumbling something Inoshita didn't catch, before he perhaps instinctively pulled him closer to his chest. Inoshita couldn't stop the smile from making its way to his face. So adorable. He caressed Terushima's cheek again, before gently shaking his shoulder, hoping that would be enough to wake him up. Sure enough, Terushima grumbled a bit more before his eyes cracked open, the confusion in them brought up by the little light coming in from outside. What's wrong? You should be sleeping already. Inoshita gave him a soft smile, pushing away the little tug of guilt for tearing into his boyfriend's sleep. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up. I just needed to turn. Can't find a comfortable position tonight, it seems. Can't sleep? I'm thinking too much, I guess. Humming quietly, Terushima rubbed his eyes, shifting a bit so that Inoshita's head was under his chin. Inoshita could purr with happiness, both from the immediate surge of pleasant warmth and the way Terushima rubbed his lower back with skilled motions. Think snuggles could help you? Barely holding back a chuckle, Inoshita pressed himself more into the space Terushima created for him from his body and sighed contently, already feeling the so far only lingering tiredness setting. It can't hurt, right? Yeah. A light kiss landed on the crown of Inoshita's head. Try to sleep now. Don't think about anything. You need to rest, remember? Your patients need you rested. I know. Thank you. For nothing, darling. The grip around him tightened even more, though never crossing into unpleasant territory, and in just a few minutes, Inoshita found himself nodding off. The longer he watched Tanaka that evening, the more he was sure his boyfriend's head was going to explode any minute. Not necessarily because he was angry, which was usually the only reason why Inoshita would say something like that, but rather because he couldn't stop thinking. Which, let's be honest, was an unusual occurrence in itself and reason enough for Inoshita to raise his eyebrow at him. What are you searching for that you can't even sit calmly? The only answer he got was an absent-minded hum. Tanaka didn't even raise his gaze from the screen of his phone, scrolling wildly. Rolling his eyes, Inoshita tapped on his shoulder to finally turn his attention to himself. I asked, what are you looking for? You look like someone who forgot their anniversary was today.
Wait, we have some anniversary?
No, we don't. That's why your behavior looks weird. What's going on? Tanaka let out a heavy sigh and let the phone fall into his lap, suddenly looking 10 times more tired than 5 seconds ago.
I'm looking for something for Suguru. You know, because of that whole mess. I know we pretty much talked it out, but it doesn't feel like enough.
Inoshita offered him a sympathetic smile, gently rubbing his back to help him get rid of the gathered tension. Despite being on much better terms these days after they talked out their feelings for each other, Tanaka was still very careful around Dasha these days. It was sweet to watch him doing everything he saw in Dasha's eyes, sure, but Inoshita would prefer if the care came from a bit different place than worry. And he was sure Dasha would agree. Then just take him out again. You had a pretty heavy date last time, so why not lighten the mood a bit?
Well, yeah, I thought about it too, but what if he doesn't want that?
You won't know unless you ask. He smiled and pinched Tanaka's cheek. Besides, I'm sure he would love to spend more time with you now that you told him how you feel.
I suppose. Okay, I'll ask him tomorrow.
He raised his eyes, taking hold of Inoshita's hand to leave a kiss on his fingers.
What about you? We haven't been out for a while either.
Another kiss landed on Inoshita's hand, the feather-light touch making him shiver. He slid next to Tanaka, immediately getting engulfed in the warmest embrace he knew, feeling safer than ever in his life. I'm content hanging out at home. I can't get as many kisses when we go out.
A soft rumble of love resonated through Tanaka's chest, the sound making Inoshita melt completely.
Nothing compared to hearing his boyfriend's laugh. It meant they were content and relaxed enough to be openly happy, which was all that mattered. Should we get some snacks before Ryuji brings Suguru home?
Sure, but we need to be quick or he will eat everything again.
He pouted, and Inoshita snickered. The food war was still raging between the two of them, and he couldn't be more entertained. He kissed Tanaka's cheek and jumped up from the couch to bring them something to snack on. Unlike last night, Terushima managed to gently persuade Dasha into sharing bed that night, for which Inoshita was immensely grateful. He understood why Dasha wanted to sleep aside, but having him close throughout the night spared him a lot of worries. And he felt much warmer, even though that was probably just a mental thing. However, sharing bed with 3 other people also made the challenge more difficult for him since he only wanted to include Tanaka this time. And so he decided for a slightly different approach. He waited for about 2 hours after they went to sleep to make sure everyone was in deep slumber, and then carefully crawled out of the bed, smiling when he noticed Dasha snuggled in Terushima's embrace. Good. If anything can help one sleep, it's Ryuji's hugs. He only accidentally bumped into Tanaka's legs when he was almost fully off, waiting for a moment to see if his plan was successful. Tanaka grumbled quietly, stirring a bit before he started snoring again. Why am I not surprised? He nudged him again with a bit more force, earning an almost hurt whine when Tanaka opened his eyes groggily. Chika? Damn it, why does he have to look so adorable like this? I feel bad now, not fair. I'm sorry, that wasn't on purpose. Go to sleep again.
Where are you going?
The kitchen, I guess. I can't sleep. Grabbing sleep from his eyes, Tanaka sat up and yawned, looking confused for a short moment before he unwrapped himself out of the duvet and swung his legs down the side of the bed. What are you doing? You said you can't sleep, and I don't want to wake those two up. As if that explained anything, he waddled out of the bedroom with Inoshita in tow. You didn't have to get up because of me. I'll just get myself tired somehow and it's going to be fine. Tanaka shrugged, heading to the kitchen where he immediately turned on the kettle. What's that for?
I'm making you tea and then I'll tell you a story.
Blinking rapidly a few times, Inoshita gaped at him, but there was a smile tugging in the corner of his mouth.
A story? Seriously? Yeah, why not? It works on you when you are sick, so why not when you can't sleep?
Inoshita couldn't help but chuckle. I guess that's true. But you didn't have to get up because of me, really. I would manage.
Chica, darling, I'm your boyfriend, remember? I'm supposed to take care of you.
But not for the price of your sleep schedule.
My sleep schedule is fine.
He pushed the mug with tea into Inoshita's hands.
Here, drink it while it's still warm and let's sit down.
You'll have to carry me to bed if I fall asleep.
So, I'm working out purposefully so I can carry my boyfriends around.
Inoshita's heart fluttered. Without another word, he followed Tanaka on the couch, snuggling to his side the moment they were both seated. Tanaka pulled him even closer, kissing the top of his head before he started to tell a story Inoshita had heard many times before, and yet couldn't get enough of. Though that was probably because of Tanaka's voice, his all-time weakness. It was always nice to fall asleep to Tanaka's voice. It had been almost a week since Yahaba came up with the challenge, and even though Inoshita was enjoying it quite a lot, he couldn't find a good time to complete the final step. Or rather, he couldn't bring himself to wake Dasha up when he finally managed to fall asleep for more than 2 hours. The gain from doing the challenge would simply be too little compared to the guilt he would feel. Still, he forced himself to stay awake every night for a bit longer, if only to enjoy seeing Dasha's face softened by sleep. Perhaps a little creepy when he thought about it, but he couldn't help himself. Chica? He blinked, returned into reality by the gentle, uncertain voice. Sorry, I spaced out, didn't I? A bit. Is something wrong? A soft smile curled Inoshita's lips as he reached for Dasha's hand, his heart skipping a beat when, after a second of hesitation, Dasha entwined their fingers. Not at all. I was just thinking how lucky we are to have you. Dasha froze like a deer in headlights before he lowered his gaze to their connected hand, apparently thinking hard about something. Inoshita led him, instinctively caressing his knuckles with his thumb. Do you really think so? Despite still sounding somewhat uncertain, there was a slight change in Dasha since the date he and Tanaka were on last week. As if he was asking more to make sure about something rather than from fear. It wasn't the biggest change, but it meant Tanaka's words were working, and Inoshita couldn't be happier about that. He smiled, squeezing Dasha's hand in reassurance. Of course I do. We didn't ask you to join the relationship just to fill numbers, you know? I'm glad you are with us. To his immense happiness, Dasha seemed to relax a bit after his words, a faint shadow of smile tugging in the corner of his mouth when he looked up again. Inoshita cursed inwardly,
holding on to every last bit of his willpower to not try to steal the smile off of his lips. He wished nothing more than to be able to do that, to be able to kiss Dasha as much as he wanted, but doing so now would surely lead to a disaster. He heard from Tanaka how much pain the physical reminders of his past hurt Dasha, and definitely didn't want to see more of it. Seeing him after he woke up from yet another nightmare was scary enough. Oh, I almost forgot. What's the match schedule for the month? I believe it's the same as always. Every Wednesday and Saturday. Why? I have a few vacation days left, so I thought I could come cheer you on for once. It's been a while since I got to see you play in person. And we could go on a walk to cool down afterwards if you want. Maybe get something to eat too. This time, Dasha smiled for real, and Inoshita was suddenly really glad he was sitting down. Damn it, Suguru, this isn't good for my heart. Sounds good. I'll do my best on the court to make you proud. Unable to help himself, Inoshita leaned in to kiss Dasha's temple. The way Dasha melted into his side afterwards, making him squeal inwardly. I'm always proud of you. The room was dark, save the little night light in the corner when Inoshita was torn from the shallow slumber by the all too familiar whimpering in between ragged breaths. All sleepiness gone immediately, he propped himself up on his elbow and gently shook with Dasha's shoulder. Suguru, come on dear, wake up. It didn't work the way he wanted, as Dasha curled more into a ball, whispering something Inoshita didn't catch. Though he didn't need to understand the words to know where the dream took him. Careful not to wake the others, he shuffled close enough to let their foreheads touch and cupped Dasha's cheek. Suguru, it's okay, you are safe. It's just a nightmare. Wake up. Dasha flinched, and then his eyes shot open, a quiet, strangled cry tearing from his throat. Inoshita continued to caress his cheek, just like Dasha's rapid breaths caressed his skin, his heart breaking when he felt tears under his fingers. It's okay, it wasn't real, I promise. Chica. Yeah, I'm with you. Everything is alright. You're home. No one will hurt you here. Take a deep breath, okay? Everything is fine. Taking a few shaky breaths, Dasha slowly uncurled his fingers so far clenched around the blanket. Inoshita didn't let go of him, only gently wiping away the tears from his lashes before they could fall on the pillow. Why won't it stop? For that, Inoshita couldn't give a satisfying answer. He could just hug him and wait until the fright went away, and that's exactly what he did now. Dasha froze for a split second when Inoshita tugged him closer, but after more whispered reassurances, he curled to Enoshita's chest, clinging to his t-shirt as if it was the only thing keeping him in reality. The sight and feeling of the trembling running through his boyfriend's body broke Enoshita's heart all over again. A flicker of fury aimed solely at the bastard who dared to hurt Suguru like this, burning in his soul. Maybe we should pay him a visit in the prison. I'm sorry. What for? I woke you up, didn't I? Sighing, Enoshita pulled him even deeper into his embrace, leaving a kiss in his hair. No, I was already awake. I was supposed to do a challenge, but I couldn't bring himself to wake you up. But I guess your nightmares took care of it for me. He hated it. Hated the man who caused this. Hated the still visible fear in Dasha's eyes, that his night terrors were still holding so much power over him, that his beloved couldn't rest even 3 years after getting out of his personal hell. Hated they couldn't do more for him. Do you think you'll be able to sleep again? Dasha paused before giving a barely feelable nod. I can try. Should I go elsewhere? In case... Stay here. You've already had a nightmare. I don't want you to be alone now. A short silence settled between them, interrupted only by Tanaka's snoring. Then Dasha relaxed against him and eased the grip on his t-shirt. Thank you. For nothing. Try to sleep, okay? I'll be right here. No one will hurt you. I promise.
Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I seriously hope you don't mind the whole TeruShouEnnoTana storyline being a lot Dasha-centered, because, I mean, it's obvious it's going to end up like this, but yeah, I know there were requests for angst/fluff/hurt comfort for the other 3. I'm trying, okay? I'm trying, but since Dasha is the one who is the most traumatized, well, the only one traumatized, but you know what I mean. Since he's the stray cat of the relationship, I am focusing on him a lot. And just the whole relationship between the group is centered around him a lot. I will try to put more emphasis on the other 3 in the future, I promise. But for now, it's really Dasha-centered. If you have any requests or ideas, the request form is linked in the video description. See you next time!